friends, today I am going to be doing a quick little review of the first 5 Nancy Drew books. I have been collecting them and reading them, and I thought this would be a good way to kind of do a little review on it because I didn't want to do individual reviews on every single book. I think it'd be a little bit overwhelming with there being 175 books in the main series. So I've decided that every 5 books I will group them all together and do really quick little reviews on each one, let you know what I thought about the story, what I rate it, and just things like that. So I even made up like little notes about what I thought about the stories. I'm not going to go super in depth into the story, and I will not be giving any spoilers, just kind of an overview of the book. So some of these I actually read out of order, which definitely kind of, I don't know, it just has a little bit of a different feel whenever I was going through them. So the first book we have here is called The Secret of the Old Clock, and this one was published in 1930, and then the revised story was published in 1959. So the first mystery begins with Nancy searching for the missing will of Mr. Josiah Crowley, who is or was a wealthy man, and several family members and relatives of Mr. Crowley said that he planned on leaving them money to help them with their hardships after he passed. However, the only will in existence leaves everything to his relatives, the Tophams, and they're basically just like a snobbish, social climbing type of family. Not very charitable, and everyone's wondering why they were cut out of the will whenever Mr. Josiah Crowley said that he would include them to help them out, but he leaves them all to just this one family. And during Nancy's investigation, she encounters thieves, illegal drinking during Prohibition, summer camp activities, severe storms, and more. So this is all about Nancy trying to uncover or figure out where this missing will is and how to help these other families that are in need that were very close to Mr. Crowley. So overall for this book, I think that in the beginning it was just a little bit slow for me. I definitely did enjoy it, but it was really about halfway through the book where the action really kind of picked up for me. It was about chapter 10 when I really felt like we were getting into the mystery, and when she gets to like the summer camp, I feel like everything from there just gets so much more exciting. The first half of the book was a little bit slow, but I still really enjoyed reading it. And of course I love the illustrations. That's one of my favorite things about the original 56 volumes in the series, is that they all have illustrations. Everyone after that I don't believe have illustrations, which are always like the parts I really look forward to just because I love the style of them. They are pen and ink illustrations like this, and I love these. I always look forward to when I get to a page that has an illustration. I just love seeing those. Overall, so like I said, I think the beginning was a little bit slow, but I feel like it ended really strongly, and I liked the story and the mystery kind of unfolding as it did. And overall, I would give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite Nancy Drew book ever, but it was definitely one of the better ones in my opinion. Moving on to book number 2, this one is called The Hidden Staircase, and this one was originally published in 1930, and then the revised story was published in 1959. So in this story, Nancy gets a call from a friend, Helen Corning, who leads her to this investigation with her relatives that have a haunted colonial mansion called Twin Elms. And Nancy agrees to take on the case and to help them out, just as a man named Nathan Gomer comes to her door and delivers a threatening message to Nancy Drew about her father being in danger. And it has to do with some dissatisfied customers with like a land sale in regards to like a new railroad that is going to be put in. So there are people that are very unhappy with the whole situation. So as Nancy goes to Twin Elms and she starts to investigate, weird things start happening at the mansion, including a suspected ghost. And the suspected ghost is stealing items, playing strange music, and even a chandelier moving on its own. And while Nancy is at Twin Elms trying to figure out the mystery, her father mysteriously disappears. So this one, I think that this was a really good story all the way through. I really enjoyed this one a lot. I gave this one 5 stars just because I felt like it didn't have too much of like a lull period like the first book had for me in the beginning, being a little slow. I felt like this one was pretty well paced throughout the whole story, and I really love stories whenever there's hidden compartments and, you know, underground passages and things like that. So I thought that this was a really, really good one. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than the first book, but still really, really good, and I would highly recommend this one. Next up, we have the third book, and this one is called The Bungalow Mystery, and this is actually the first Nancy Drew book that I started reading as I was getting back into the book series this time. So this was the first one that I read. So again, like I said, I read them out of order a bit, and this was actually my original copy of the books that I had when I was younger. So I already had this one and I started reading that one. Again, this one was published in 1930 and the revised story was published in 1960. And this one, again, Nancy starts out with her friend Helen and they are boating on Moon Lake. And this one just starts right off the bat with the excitement and the adventure. Nancy and Helen are on a boat and they are in the middle of a sudden storm and their boat capsizes. And luckily the girls are rescued by an orphan named Laura Pendleton, and she is going to the resort to meet her new guardians who are not quite as they seem. And Laura is wealthy on her own, so there is a whole mystery surrounding that. And simultaneously, Nancy is working on a case with her father, who is a lawyer, and the case is involving some investment security fraud. So Nancy has to go and investigate all the suspects on her list. And as she's uncovering her mystery, she discovers fraud and kidnapping and imprisonment and mistaken identity. So this is another one. I ranked this one 5 stars. Again, this was the first one that I read, so it was just like a really fast read for me. I think I read this one in like 2 nights because I just couldn't put it down, and I really enjoyed the pace of this one. I felt like it was really good. I really liked I even kind of liked the villains in this one a little bit. It was just like an interesting story, and this one I thought was really good. This was one of my more favorite ones that I read. Next up, I have book number 4. This one is The Mystery at Lilac Inn, and this one, I have to say, this one really started off strong for me, but then I was not sure at all where the story was going with this one. So this one was published in 1930 as well, and then the revised story was published in 1961. So again, Nancy is with her friend Helen, and they are canoeing to Lilac Inn, which one of their friends has newly renovated it, and her name is Emily Willoughby, and she is to be getting married soon. But a lot of strange occurrences start happening at Lilac Inn, and Nancy steps in to try to help figure out what is going on. It includes ghostly sightings of a woman out in the lilac grove, and back home, Nancy actually realizes that someone has been impersonating her and broke into her house and stole her charge plate and has been racking up bills in Nancy's name. And this case involves a lot of mysterious scuba diving, missing diamonds, an explosion and a cabin fire, kidnapping, and submarines. Just to give you a little bit of a teaser for that one. This one, I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 just because, like I said, this one started off so strong for me. I was really in it, but then as we got near towards the end, it just kind of felt a little bit over the top at some of the things that were happening, and I don't know, it just kind of lost me at the end. I was like, what is even going on? But it was still a good story, but it just felt a little bit too over the top, if you know what I mean. If you've read the story and you know the ending, it's just a little bit kind of an out there of an ending, but very suspenseful as well, and I really like this one. It was just not my favorite of them all. And then finally, the last book in this review is the 5th book, and this one is called The Secret of Shadow Ranch. If you are familiar with the Nancy Drew computer games, there is one game that is based off of this story, so I was really excited to read this one because it's been so many years since I played that game. I didn't remember the storyline at all, so whenever I go back to playing those games, it's going to be interesting to see how true the story is to the book, or you know, what they borrowed and what's the same and what's different. It's going to be interesting to see. But one thing I really liked about this one was that it was a change of pace of the setting of the story, because Nancy actually goes to Phoenix, Arizona to Shadow Ranch, and this is also the first book that introduces Nancy's 2 best friends through the rest of the series, Bess Marvin and George Fane, who are cousins. We also don't see Helen Corning as a character anymore. She's kind of written out of the story from the last book, and it's just kind of stated that she has gotten married, and I guess she's just not into solving mysteries with Nancy anymore. And I also really like it because they put Nancy in a mystery in a real location. It's supposed to be near Phoenix, Arizona on a ranch, and the ranch is actually in danger of being shut down due to every time a mysterious glowing horse shows up in the ranch, mysterious things and disasters happen every time after this horse is spotted. Also, Bess and George's other cousin Alice is staying at the ranch as well, and her father is a missing artist who might have a connection to some bank robberies back in Chicago. So there's a lot of mysterious happenings going on. And Nancy comes across a pocket watch with a hidden message that leads her to a treasure of an old legend outlaw named Dirk Valentine. So Nancy is trying to solve the mystery of the mysterious horse and finding a treasure out in the Wild West. So what I thought about this one, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of Western style books, but I really did love the change of pace for this one, just because all of the previous books had all taken place in fictional places, so I liked that this one was a real world location. When you think of Phoenix, Arizona, you've already got like an idea in your mind, but when you think of these random little places that are made up that don't really have a lot of personality, it's kind of hard to imagine where you're at, I guess, as far as location of the book. So this one was actually a lot easier for me to really envision kind of the story and where she's at. And one thing I really love about this book, with the revised stories, there is actually a continuity error in this book because Nancy mentions Ned Nickerson, which, if you're familiar with the story, it is her longtime boyfriend, but he hasn't been introduced yet in the series at all. He actually gets introduced 2 books after this in book number 7, The Clue in the Diary, which I am reading right now. But it's funny because there is like one random page on here in this particular version that she just mentions Ned's off in Europe somewhere, and there's no explanation of who Ned is or why she's even talking about Ned at all, and that was purely from a continuity error from the revised text, with Ned not being introduced as a character yet, which I think is really funny. But overall, I thought this was a really good read. Like I said, I can't wait to go back and play the computer game just to kind of see what the story is like, because it's been so long since I played that game, I really don't even remember anything about it. But this one was a really fun read, so I really like that one. Alright, so those are my reviews on the first 5 Nancy Drew books. Like I said, I didn't want to do any individual videos. It would just be a lot with how many books there are, but I think that 5 little books at a time is a good way to kind of like give a really quick little synopsis of the story and what I thought about it, and intrigue you if you are interested in reading Nancy Drew books. I definitely recommend them. They are fun, easy, quick reads, and I really enjoy them. And again, if you are also a Nancy Drew collector or avid reader, I do have a poster for the book collection that you can use to track which books you're reading. I have this on my Etsy shop where you can purchase this, and it's just so much fun to visualize my goals because I do want to read all 175 books from the main Nancy Drew series. So just having that poster over here in my office, I can see where I'm at, I can see how many I've read so far, and it's just a really fun way to kind of track my progress through reading the book series, because this is going to be a long going goal, so it's nice to kind of have something reassuring that you can visually see that reminds you of where you're at on your goals. So definitely check that out on my Etsy shop if you are interested in purchasing that. And that's pretty much it for my review of the first 5 Nancy Drew books. I will definitely have another video of these coming soon once I have finished all the way from 6 to 10. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, link is below. Until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.